All right. Hi, this is Anakin, and welcome to the continuation of our Railway Empire 2 series where we're playing the scenarios in numeric order. We're up to number 13, set in Luxembourg, called Sitting on the Fence. You can pause this video and read the background if you want to. I'm going to jump right into the gameplay. I had a quick look at the start to see what we were up against, so we're going to use the engineer just to be different. We will have to buy our way into other regions. And let's see what's in store for us. This one's very
I
hard, which is
wonder if
very
it was a
different.
good idea to found a railroad company right now. Well, we've taken the job. At the moment, we can't advance in the direction of France or Prussia because the borders have been closed for fear of spies. I'll try to talk to both countries. Well, until I finish negotiating, you could expand our company towards Belgium for the time being. Not that we have much choice. Let's set up a small rail network here and wait for an answer.
All right. So while he's talking, we had a quick look at the trains and decided to use the best two, the last ones, the whatever it's called. I'm not quite awake this morning. The best express train, the best freight train we can get. And we've drawn a kind of bad R&D tree here because we're missing a lot of stuff. And I decided to go a different route. We're going to go with company news, which will allow us to set up bigger bonds because we know that very, very quickly we'll be opening two more bonds. They might as well be 10% higher each. That would be nice. So we're going to go ahead and set up our employees to have their 125% efficiency. That means double all the training and 20% extra on welfare. And we'll get all those nice bonuses that our employees can provide us, and we won't have to worry about our employees again the rest of the playthrough. Now let's see what we got. As we go around here, we can see all these regions in red. There's only one in white, and that's the Netherlands. And if we look, that's the one we have to grow to 90,000. So obviously we're going to open up access to the Netherlands. But these red ones we're not allowed to yet, and that typically means in these scenarios that some event has to occur in order to open that up. It's usually timed out with our task list. So if we complete a set of tasks or complete a specific task or whatever, that typically causes some event to occur that opens up other things for us, other possibilities. So we'll see what that means in this scenario. Now the thing that makes this tough, I'm looking at this right now, there's no meat industry. We have access to 5 cities, 3 in the Netherlands, 2 in Belgium. There's no wood anywhere. None of these cities are getting wood. You can see the flow of goods. Nobody's getting any wood. Then if we look at the meat industries, there are no meat industries on the board. And the 2 of our cities are getting some to start with. Brussels and Luxembourg down in Belgium are getting a little bit, but nobody where we need to grow the cities has any meat at all. You know, if the game started you with a little bit, you could rush and get some other goods in there and grow the city. But the only ones we can do like that are Luxembourg and Brussels, and that's not what we're after. We're after Eindhoven and Amsterdam and Groningen. So we're going to have to figure out how to grow those cities without meat and without wood. So that leaves grain and corn and sugar and cloth and beer. And so what we're going to do here is really focus our efforts on getting those 3 cities supplied with the things they can have, right? Instead of worrying about what we don't have, we're going to take the things we do have and we're going to make sure that we have those in all those cities. And what that's going to end up doing is giving us a demand fulfillment rate of 66.7%. We'll eventually get to that rate, and our goal will be to get there as quickly as we can and stay there because that's as fast as we can go. That's as fast as we can possibly grow the cities. And we do have, interestingly enough, the immigration office available to us on this scenario. So that will give us a 15% increase in growth in the city once we hit 30,000 people. Now notice here, I'm not going to use cabooses. Toward the end of the last time I played, there were some really good comments from multiple people. So I won't try to name them. There were good comments from multiple people who said that they actually studied and figured out that because you already have your staff at 125% efficiency through the way you set up your employees, that adding the caboose actually costs you money because that's one slot that can't carry goods, right? And so the caboose is actually not. I did want to do one shout out to Tishman Willard, who reminded me of those caboose comments on a comment he left on the last series on Scenario 12, where I've kind of recently taken up playing Railway Empire 2 again. So thank you for that comment reminding me. I really think that I don't know the exact timing, I don't remember, but I think the comments for caboose, don't use a caboose, were kind of at the end of when I was playing, and it never became part of my habit. So I'll try from now on to make it part of my habit, just not to use one, which is kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame that they have a mechanic like that. Although I could see where you could spend less money on your personnel if you wanted to, and perhaps use the caboose. But I mean, who wouldn't want that extra slot? Since we're limited to 8 cars anyway, why wouldn't you want that extra slot to haul more something, whatever it is you're hauling? So the general approach we're going to take here is we've set at one line between Luxembourg and Groningen, one track, and it's going to be a single track, and that's for the sole purpose of getting that express line. We're going to knock that off as quickly as we can, and then we're going to blow all that up because it's one of those tasks they're trying to have. It's a task they're giving us that doesn't fit with what we're trying to do. Now, what we're trying to do here is set up a 3-city cluster: Eindhoven, Amsterdam, Groningen, and we're going to use a 1 city, 1 train, or I guess I really should say 1 city, 1 train line approach for bringing supplies to it. And you'll see what I mean in a second if most of you already know what I mean. But we're going to set up our little coat hanger deal here with Amsterdam, Eindhoven, and Groningen. That'll give us the ability for each city to send train directly to each of the other 2 cities. And that way we can share the beer and the cloth between the 3 cities. Now remember, we don't have meat. We'd love to have one of these guys be a meat producer. If they were, we could finish this so much. It would be so much easier. But then the thing wouldn't be very hard. And I love this one because it really is very hard. So you have to think about how you're going to do this. So, but even at that, I'm still applying the same techniques, the same methods, the same process that we've been talking about all the way through on Railway Empire and Railway Empire 2. Okay, so here's the start of the setup of the 1 city, 1 train line kind of thing. So we're going to have a track that goes out to the corn, right? And with the ability to go in both directions. We're going to have track that goes to the grain that's behind Groningen. With that goes plugs into Groningen to get into the system to can go to the other cities. We're going to have track from the sugar down south of Eindhoven and plug it into the system through Eindhoven, and then we'll take a train and we'll say a train line and we'll say, okay, for Amsterdam, for example, I want a train that goes to the corn and drops off in Amsterdam. Then I want it to go to the grain and drop off in Amsterdam. Then I want it to go to the sugar and drop off in Amsterdam. So that 1 train will make sure that the Amsterdam gets its raw materials. And we'll do the same thing for another train line for Groningen and another train line for Eindhoven. Then we'll see how many trains we want on that line to keep it going. But remember, our whole thing is that we have to keep a steady supply of those raw materials in each of those 3 cities, and we have to maintain that so that the demand satisfaction doesn't drop below 66.7, And again, the reason we can't get it to 100 is because we don't have any meat, we don't have any wood. So two of our key things we need are missing, and we have no way of getting them right now. Now, we can assume that the game eventually will change for us and give us those things, but right now we got to work with what we've got. So I'm not going to talk very much because I can't. You can probably hear my voice. I can't talk. And so you can see how this works, and you can see how it's going to happen, and you'll see firing off the city lines, firing off the one train, one city kind of thing, going into debt and taking advantage of the bigger bonds that we set up in our research, which, a lot of times you'll have that research already done, but we want to make sure we got it and got bigger bonds here to get going in the early game. And we'll set that up. Then we'll run a line between Luxembourg and Brussels and set it up to kind of have it'll be kind of your passengers, faster train with passengers and mail and some freight if you've got room, kind of a deal. And let those go. And we'll also connect in, just to grab the revenue, we'll connect little short lines to haul the wool into Brussels, because it has a tailor and weaving industry, whatever they call it. And same thing in Amsterdam. They have the cloth production, so it has a wool up there, which it gets. We wouldn't have to put a train on it, but we might as well grab the revenue. So that's all we'll do, and then we'll just sit here and watch this, and we'll just keep watching it until Eindhoven hits 30,000. It'll be the first one. But whichever one is first, we'll watch them, see how big they are. Whenever one of those three up there in the Netherlands hits 30, we'll put an immigration office in. That'll bump up the rate at which they grow. It doesn't improve their demand satisfaction, but it bumps up the rate at which they grow. And then we'll be done. We'll just watch it until it's done. And you can see here's that simple little, go get some raw materials, bring it. Go get some raw materials, bring it. Go get another raw material, bring it. And so we'll recall this the Amsterdam raw line so that we can easily find it. And put a train on it. That would be nice. And it'll be ready to go. And since it's always going to Amsterdam, we don't have to worry about the leave Amsterdam empty, because it would never be taking goods to itself, right? So and it would never be taking goods out of Amsterdam out to some raw material source out in the field. So this approach actually makes the setup simpler, because you don't have to go in and specify run empty all the time. Okay, so that's about all there is to say about this one, and I'm just going to be still and let you enjoy it, or be bored by it, however that goes. If you have questions, put them in the comments, please, and otherwise, enjoy. I guess I do have to explain this. I'm trying to figure out why that Groningen one wanted to go somewhere else to turn around. So I'm trying to look at its route to figure out why wouldn't it run. Why would it need anything special? There's nothing going on here. And I did decide to put, when it's got the corn coming back, there is something missing. When it's got the corn coming back, it would want to go into Amsterdam and turn around, or to Eindhoven, either one, to turn so that it could be pointing toward Groningen. So we're going to add a little bypass here around Amsterdam so that it'll be easy for the train to make a direct path into Groningen without having to go to another station to turn around. And I will say this too, I tried to be very careful to make sure that I had the switches set everywhere, and make sure that I had the sorry, had the junction set at each city and wherever needed, so that the lines, so that the pathing that the trains would take would be correct. And there, I was kind of thinking I'd maybe gotten that wrong station at Groningen, but in watching it, I didn't. I had it absolutely correct. That it was going to Groningen 2, which is the really going to be the permanent station up there, and so we spent all our money. We focused our effort up on the coat hanger up there in the Netherlands, so that we can get that city growth going, and we'll be collecting the bonuses as they come available, and including 2 bonuses down here once we get all this set up and get over to Brussels. There's a bonus, and that grain right there near Luxembourg is a bonus, and we'll grab those and use that to actually add trains to our one city, one train line setup for each of the cities in our 3-city cluster, so that we can make sure that we have raw materials going in there timely. And the advantage to this approach is, we didn't have to build any shunt lines or extra lines or anything, or larger stations or anything like that, because the train is just going to come in and say, okay, I'm here at Sugar. I'm going to go to Eindhoven. Does Eindhoven need any sugar? Yes. Okay. Do we have any sugar here for me to take? Yes. Okay. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to load up, and I'm going to go. And I'm not going to wait around for more. I'm just going to go deliver what I've got. And that's why that approach works, because the trains just get in there, do their thing, grab what they can at that moment in time, and move on and get out of the way so the next train can come in to do its thing. And that is, for me, a very different approach from my typical run full trains that I like to have on most of my raw materials coming in. But it does work beautifully, particularly small and medium-sized cities. There's always something to say in there. This one, I decided to go ahead and run the train without building the special buildings first, because I wanted to get that bonus. Then thought we could use the bonus money to set up the revenue generating buildings, like restaurant and post office. In this case, it'll be a restaurant and maintenance in Brussels, and a restaurant and a post office in Luxembourg, to give us bonuses for those lines. And you can see it's hauling all freight right now anyway, because there's a lot of cloth that Luxembourg would like to have that is in Brussels. And here we go. Now there's enough money for us to put extensions at least on this end. And even though the train's already off and running, now we can go back and kind of fill in behind it. And if I'd waited just a second more, I could have had that bonus on this first run, but that's okay.
That doesn't look too bad. Your rail network is slowly taking shape.
And here I realized I haven't set up my one city, one train for Eindhoven. Shame on me. But we'll get that going. And then we'll have our city to city lines and all three of our one city, one train line raw material setups going. Now we've got everything set up. We can see how the track's laid out. Now we'll add in the supply depots. Make sure we don't have any issues with getting supplies on our lines. And in a little bit, we'll go back through and put in the maintenance. And the maintenance is going to be actually on all three cities in that Netherlands three-city cluster, because the city-to-city lines need maintenance, and the raw material lines also need maintenance. So the quickest way to cover that is really to have all the cities in the cluster have maintenance at the delivery points, and so that's what we'll do there with that. And we're going to do this twice. We're going to have a line that goes. And here I realize I've left off the switches on that other end. I'm doing these without following that mantra of pick your two stations, lay your track, double track it, put in your supply depot, set your signals. We don't follow that at all here because we're trying to hustle and get some things running, and so we don't want to spend the money on a supply depot, for example, right up front when you don't need it. We don't want to spend some money on maintenance when the trains can run without maintenance for a while. We need to get everything moving because we're trying to do this quickly. Now, those of you who aren't so worried about your score, you would be able to do this. You could just follow our mantra and just pick a line, double track it, run your trains, that would be just fine. But to really solve this puzzle and to do it quickly, you have to kind of take some liberties with the process. You still need to follow the whole process. You just have to allow the order of things, and when these things occur, you have to kind of take some liberties with that.
Oh dear. I'm afraid the situation is getting worse. As you know, the throne in Spain is still vacant, and its heir is Prussian. However, France does not want a Prussian king on the Spanish throne.
Now you can see there that express line made almost no money. That money would be much better served in our pocket. All that money for all that track, all those stations, the 2 stations, etc. We'll put that back in our pocket, or most of it. And that'll allow us to go ahead and put in our maintenance where we want it. It'll allow us to add trains to these lines. It'll just give us some flexibility in terms of what we do. So here you go. The Amsterdam Raw is going to have 2 trains running on it now. And each of the raw lines will have 2 trains running on them, so that we can make sure that we can keep up with this. So right there, I'm checking to see how much sugar there is. It would be nice to be able to give Brussels and Luxembourg some sugar and some corn, but decided we're going to make sure that there's plenty that we can get to the 3 cities in the Netherlands so we can get this task done. Because if you look at this one, we've got this one difficult task where we can never have all of our materials to grow these cities, but we have to grow these cities, right? So you can see here we're just barely hit the growth stage now in Eindhoven. Now we got to keep it up there. We got to keep it above 60 so that we can keep growing. Here you can see we're below that in Amsterdam, but we do have some sugar on the way, and that's going to really help Amsterdam. That's going to put Amsterdam over the top. And if we look at Groningen here, they're almost there, but what do they need? They've got a little bit of sugar coming, and that one sugar will help because their consumption's only zero point 0.2 a week. So that one sugar is actually 5 weeks worth of consumption. So if we can get back there with some more, if one of our two trains can get back there with some more sugar before that 5 weeks is done, they will continue to have satisfaction for sugar and the other things that they're getting in a little more abundance right this minute. And that also is back to what I started to say about don't run the stuff down to Luxembourg or Belgium, because we need that sugar to feed our Netherlands three-city cluster. That's all that matters right now. That's the task we're trying to get done. So right there you can see sugar is 90%. Does that mean we have 90% of the sugar we need? No, that means that at some point prior weeks it was at zero, and then some came in and it went to 100%. But the 100% coverage for the sugar for that particular week, that what you're seeing out there on the right hand column over there is a rolling average based on history. So now if we look back, it's all at 100. So each different item is at 100%, and you can see the demand satisfied. The fulfillment demand is slowly creeping up, meaning that if you look at the values of all the rolling averages of the individual items, and then you look at it as a whole from the city point of view, that value is also a rolling average that's slowly increasing. So our goal here is to just have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 that we can have at 100%, and then try to get our city fulfillment demand, that rolling average for the city, as high as we can get it and keep it there to keep the growth going as quickly as possible. And that's what we've done here. We've got all three of them growing. You see they got the one tick. We'll never do any better than that, not on this first part, because we don't have the meat, we don't have wood. You know, if you don't have it, you don't have it. So you got to play the cards you're dealt and supply what you can. So what we're watching here is to say, okay, we want to, as soon as the city hits 30, and right here it looks like Eindhoven is leading the charge. It's at 66.7 fulfillment demand, which is as high as we're going to get it under this setup. And we're just going to watch them. When they hit 30,000, we're going to immediately put an immigration office in there to improve the rate at which they get people. And we'll watch the other cities and do the same as appropriate. And here we go. We've just hit 30,000, so we're going to throw down an immigration office. And yes, I know I said I wasn't going to talk at all, and I've talked all the way through this. Can't help myself. So we're almost there. We're over 81,000. We've got all three cities growing. We've got Eindhoven with an immigration office, so it'll grow at an increased rate. And we're just going to watch and pick the second biggest, that's Groningen, and watch it to see if we can put an immigration office in there. Before we hit it, I don't think we do. I think we'll, spoiler alert, we'll meet our goal before we ever are able to put that other immigration office in, at least up here in the Netherlands. Now you notice we're accumulating some cash. I'm an advocate of spend your money as soon as you can, invest it in something that's going to make you more money. But we've kind of done everything, right? We've got everything except for maybe reconnecting these. We would have to do that.
It is about the negotiations between Prussia and France. The Prussian king agreed to withdraw their heir, but the French also demanded that Prussia agrees to never again interfere in the succession to the Spanish throne. This demand was sharply rejected by the Prussian king. The French are outraged. War seems inevitable, and we are right in the line of fire. Luxembourg remains neutral, but as an independent company, we could try and take advantage of the situation. If only we knew which was the stronger power. I have spoken with ambassadors from both countries. They are both willing to pay us a nice sum if we help them build a rail network. But first, you have to choose a side.
Okay, so now if we look at our new task, we have to pick. Do we go to France? Do we go to Prussia? And if we look around at these, we've got access to Alsace-Lorraine for the French. We've got access to the Rhine province for the Prussians. And it appears that they're pretty even to me. If you just kind of scroll around and look at the regions that are going to be available to us, we can pick either one and probably have very similar sets of tasks that the other side or our side or whatever will give us. And we got some good city growth opportunities. You can see there's a lot of nice supplies down here. And I'm looking at France because it's pretty flat. The part we'll be dealing with is pretty flat. That's nice. And so if you want to know which one we're going to pick, you're going to need to join us for part 2 of Railway Empire 2 Scenario 13. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of that that's going to help you become a better player and do better on this scenario. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Railway Empire 2 video. Thank you.